All right, so we've covered RAM, which is kind of like your computer's short-term memory. But what about its long-term memory? The place where all your important stuff lives? We're talking your operating system, your programs, your photos, everything that needs to stick around even after you turn the power off. Today, we're diving into that permanent warehouse inside your machine. So, how does your computer actually remember all that stuff when you hit the shutdown button? I mean, we know RAM just poof, it forgets everything the second the power's gone. But permanent storage, that's a whole different beast. It's built to last. And for this incredibly important job, it's not just one technology doing the work. Oh no. We've got two major rivals, both battling it out for the top spot. So let's meet our contenders. In one corner, you've got the old champ, the heavy mechanical giant. And in the other corner, the new challenger, a silent, super light, and just blazing fast hero. Today, we're putting them head-to-head in a real showdown for storage supremacy. Yeah, we're talking about the hard disk drive versus the solid-state drive.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the long-reigning champ, the one that's been around forever, the hard disk drive, or HDD for short.
So what is an HDD? Well, think of it like a tiny, super-fast mechanical library. Seriously. Inside this little metal box, you've got these magnetic disks, they're called platters, that are spinning around at an insane speed. We're talking 5,400 or even 7,200 times a minute. And then you have this little robotic arm with a read-write head on it, kind of like the needle on a record player, that has to physically zip back and forth across those spinning platters to find, read, or write your data. It's honestly a little miracle of engineering that it all works. Now, because it's so mechanical, there are some pretty clear pros and cons. The biggest pro? The price. You can get a ton of storage space for not a lot of money. This makes HDDs absolutely perfect for stashing huge files, like your entire movie collection or years of photos. But the downsides all come back to those moving parts. They're just slower. They're also pretty fragile. You do not want to drop one. And yeah, they make a bit of noise and use up more power. All right, now let's meet the modern challenger that totally changed the game. Let's talk about the solid-state drive, or SSD. Okay, so if the HDD is that mechanical library, the SSD is like a huge, silent electronic bookshelf. And the key difference? There are zero moving parts. None. Zilch. Instead, it's just a bunch of interconnected flash memory chips. Kind of like what you'd find in your phone or a USB drive. So when your computer needs a file, it doesn't have to wait for some little arm to find it. It's just bam, an electronic signal goes out and the data is there instantly. And the benefits of this design are, well, they're an absolute game changer. We're talking incredible speed. Your computer boots up in seconds, programs just pop open. And with no moving parts, it's way more durable. It's totally silent. And it sips power, which is awesome for laptops. So what's the catch? Well, there's always one, right? It's the cost. You pay more for each gigabyte of space, but those prices are coming down all the time. So you're probably wondering, just how much faster is our hero, really? The answer is a lot faster. But here's where it gets interesting. It turns out not all SSDs are the same. Their real top-end speed, well, it all depends on the type of road they use to talk to the rest of your computer. See, when SSDs first came out, they needed to work in existing computers, so they used the same old connector that hard drives used, a connection called SATA. And this created a really weird situation. It was like buying a brand new Ferrari, but the only place you could drive it was down a narrow, bumpy back alley. The engine was ready to roar, but the road itself was the bottleneck. It was holding back all that amazing potential. But now, modern SSDs have their own dedicated connection, and it's called NVMe. And sticking with our analogy, this is like giving that same Ferrari its own private 16-lane superhighway that goes straight to the computer's brain, the CPU. There are no stoplights, no traffic, no bottlenecks. This is where you unleash the absolute face-melting speed that the drive was built for. So what does all this mean in the real world? Like, what does it actually feel like? Well, we did a simple test. We copied a single 10 gigabyte file. On the old school HDD, That took about 90 seconds, a minute and a half of waiting. Now with a standard SSD, just 9 seconds. That's 10 times faster. This isn't just a little bit better, you guys. It completely changes the entire experience of using your computer. Okay, so after seeing a speed test like that, you're probably thinking, case closed, the SSD wins, story's over, right? But what if I told you the smartest move isn't to just pick one winner?
So yeah, which one do you pick for your machine? Do you go for the speed of the hero or the massive storage of the giant? Well, here's the best part. What if you didn't have to choose at all? What if you could have them both on the same team?
The absolute best strategy for most people today is what's called a hybrid approach. And it's really simple. Step 1, you get a fast SSD. It doesn't even have to be huge. And you put your operating system and your main programs on it. That's what gives you that snappy, responsive feel. Step 2, you also get a big, cheap hard disk drive to use as a massive archive. This is where you store all your photos, your movies, your big game files, all the stuff you don't need to access in a split second.
And when you do that, you're not compromising on anything. You're literally getting the best of both worlds. You get the lightning speed of our hero for all your day-to-day stuff, and you get the enormous low-cost storage of the giant for your big archive. It's a win-win.
So there you have it. We've looked at the computer's fast workspace and its permanent warehouse. But that leaves one huge, vital question. All of these amazing components, the brain, the memory, the storage, they're all thirsty for power. They need energy. They need lifeblood flowing through their circuits. So what's the beating heart? What's the central power plant that safely delivers that vital energy to every single part of your machine? Well, that's exactly what we're going to uncover in our next explainer.